What about the required length of the beard? Because there are many people with different lengths, and it's rather confusing when you look outside and you think, oh, what should I be doing? What did the Prophet Muhammad do?
As far as the length of the beard is concerned, the scholars are divided. They have different opinions. And as for what is the length of the beard, there are two opinions. One group of scholars say that because the hadith of Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, book of dress, hadith number 5892 says, the Prophet said, do the opposite of what the pagans do. Keep the beard and trim your mustaches. So because the commandment is keep the beard, that means they say that it should be kept. That's it. And the second hadith of Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, book of dress, hadith number 5893 says that cut your mustaches short and grow the beard. So the first group of scholars say grow the beard means keep on growing. You should not touch it. Keep the beard means let it be. Therefore, you should not at all, neither trim the beard, nothing at all. You should let it grow as much as possible. This is their view. But if you read, there is not a single Sahih hadith which speaks about the length of the beard of the Prophet. Not a single Sahih hadith. There is not a single Sahih hadith. But according to Sheikh Utaymi, he says that we understand when the hadith says that keep the beard or grow the beard, it means you should leave it, you should not touch it, and let the length be as much as possible. And if someone shaves it as a haram, and someone trims it to the size of a fist, that is the other view, then it is makruh. So this one group of scholars said let it grow as much as possible. The other group of scholars, what they say, that the length of the beard should be one fist. As I mentioned earlier, there is no Sahih hadith which speaks about the length of the beard of the Prophet. There's a hadith which is a Zaif hadith or a Mawdu hadith. We say that the beard of the Prophet, it touched the chest. But that's a Zaif or a Mawdu hadith according to Shaykh Nasruddin Albani. There's a hadith mentioned in Sahih Muslim, volume number 4, hadith number 5789, where Jabir bin Samura, he says, may Allah be pleased with him, that the Prophet had a thick beard. So there are many Sahih hadith which say the Prophet had a thick beard, but doesn't mention the length of the beard. But this group of scholars, they say that since the length of the beard is not mentioned, what we have to do is we have to look at how the Sahabas kept their beard. The length is not mentioned, so we have to look at the Sahabas, because the Prophet said, if you don't find in my example, then look at the people around me in this generation, at the companions, Sahabas. And when we look at the Sahabas, we find several authentic hadith, more than 10 Sahih hadith, which say that the Sahaba, they kept their beard at the length of one fist. And whatever was below the one fist, they trimmed the beard. Including Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. All these Sahabas which are very close to the Prophet, they trimmed their beard. Even those Sahaba who narrated the same hadith, Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, hadith of Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, book of Death, hadith number 5892. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, who narrated the hadith, that the Prophet said that do opposite of what the pagans do. Keep the beard and trim your mustaches. Immediately after that, the hadith continues and says that whenever Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, used to go for Umrah and Hajj. After Umrah and Hajj, he used to catch the beard with his fist, and whatever was below the fist, he used to cut it. So imagine those Sahabas who narrated the hadith, and all these Sahabas, Ibn Umar, Ibn Abbas, Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with them all, they were staunch followers of the Sunnah of the Prophet. And they narrated the hadith. When they narrate the hadith of trimming the mustache and keeping the beard, growing the beard, they understood the way the Prophet wanted. So why did they trim the beard? If the view of the first group of scholars is right, that keep on growing, growing means how to grow? The way the Prophet grew. And if there's no hadith indicating his sayings or actions, then you look at the way the Sahabas did. That's the way how you analyze the hadith. That's the reason Shaykh Nasruddin Albani, he says that the right size of the beard should be the size of a fist. And he says, for example, that when we analyze the hadith, if it's present in the sayings, that's the best of the Prophet. If it's not, you look in the actions. If not in the actions, approval. If it's not there, you look in the lifestyle of the Sahaba. What did they say? What did they do? So we agree that what the Sahabas did was they followed the Prophet. And you don't find a single hadith, neither of the Prophet or neither of any of the Sahabas, which say that they did not trim the beard. There are more than 10 hadith which say that the Sahabas, they trim the beard below the fist. If there was even a single hadith which says that this Sahaba did not trim the beard at all, then it can be possible that both are right. Because there's not a single hadith on the other side saying that the Sahaba never trimmed the beard, but there are no less than 10 Sahih hadith which say that the Sahabas below the fist, they trim the beard. According to Sheikh Nasr al-Albani, it is fard to trim the beard below the fist. It is fard. And anyone who keeps the beard more than the fist length, it is makruh according to him. Makruh, detestable. So this is a strong fatwa given by Sheikh Nasr al-Albani. He's very staunch. And I personally agree with his view because there is evidence in the lifestyle of the Sahaba. And he further says in his book, and he writes that why it should be the length of one fist. He said, besides the Sahabas, many examples we find who kept one fist and cut below one fist the beard. He gives the examples of many Salafis Salihin who had the beard the size of a fist and they trimmed the beard below the fist. Like, for example, An-Nakhil. We have examples of Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. All these great Salafis Salihin, they trimmed the beard below the fist. They quit it like that and they trimmed it below the fist. So this is the view of the second group of scholars. And I agree more with the group of scholars, including Sheikh Nasr al-Albani, that the right size is the size of the fist and the rest, Allahu Alam.